back to Duke Rehab Performance. We're continuing down this road of the hip hinge progression. So in the beginning exercises, we looked at kind of relearning this pattern, making sure you're getting that posterior weight shift. Then we went into those goat bag swings to kind of allow a little bit more posterior translation of the hips when you're doing that. Then we went to the deadlift to really try to strengthen up those posterior musculature. Now we're going to look at adding some power and speed on top of that, and that's where one of those new exercises that you're seeing a lot in gyms lately, the kettlebell swing, comes into play. So in a kettlebell swing, it's still a hip hinge, so you should not be squatting your hinges. You need to hinge your hinge and squat your squats. We're working on hinges right now. So what I mean by that is, if we were to look here, if I were to allow him to let his, as he comes down to that hip hinge pattern, the further his knees come forward, the more this now turns into a squat. So as soon as you get here, there's going to be a little bit more demand through that lumbar spine to hold the position. So this is a squatty hinge. Go ahead and bring your knees back. And so go ahead and do that again without touching the stick here. So now we've really loaded those hips back there. So this is the position I want to see at the bottom of that kettlebell swing on that. So we're really going to cue in on that from this angle here. So for the start position, he's going to go ahead and grab the bell. And just go ahead and do about 3 of them at first. And so you're going to pull it back behind you. You can use the hip extension to explode it up. So the movement and the power of this motion is coming all from his hips. It's no arm real motion through here. The only arm thing he kind of does is he's actually trying to stop the kettlebell right now through here. He's kind of getting a plank at that top position. He hits it here, and then he pulls that weight back down towards his groin. So as he comes in this position again, we want to make sure at first we're seeing hingy hinges and not squatty hinges. So as he goes into that kettlebell swing, we should see his knees never come in the front of his feet there. So he's doing a great job. Excellent. Another common fault that you see in this exercise, I'm going to have Mike turn to the front for this one, is where is the bell supposed to go? The further away that I let this weight get from me, the more demand on my lumbar spine there's going to be. So if you're feeling pressure or a lot of soreness in your low back while you're doing your swings, you're not swinging correctly. This should be only that posterior hip musculature. So what we look for is, if when he's in his position of, let's do it without the weight at first, as he comes from down, we want to imagine this is kind of a triangle here between his knees and his groin. This is where the bell is allowed to go. You don't want to see the bell drop below this because it's going to put too much demand at that low back. So go ahead and swing without the weight here. If I could just hold this here so that way he knows, all right, I can't get down there with that weight. That's going to keep the weight closer to him and make him use his hips more, not his lumbar spine. So now if he grabs the weight, and we go to do that same portion of the movement, if I put that back here, he shouldn't hit the stick at all because he's able to keep that in that high triangle. That's how you really load the hip in this movement and relax it.